Please don't kick me, I whispered, one hand on the floor, the other on my stomach, the marble cold against my hip as the room's laughter swelled like a wave ready to crash. You don't have to know a person to know when a line gets crossed. You just feel the air change. My name is Ellie, and if you've ever been told you don't belong, if you've ever smiled through a room that wanted you small, you know exactly where this is going. But stay with me because the part you don't expect is how that night turned from humiliation into the start of something bigger. I didn't marry a headline. I married Nathan, the man who once bought coffee for a whole line because the barista looked tired. The man whose voice drops into a softer place when he talks to our baby. And yes, he's a billionaire. Yes, the world watches him like a show, but at home he's just the quiet soul who rubs my shoulders and says, "We're going to be okay." You know what I mean? The problem wasn't him, it was the orbit around him. The glittering circle that pretends manners and money are the same thing. And at the center of that orbit stood Evelyn, his mother, perfect hair, perfect pearls, a smile that could slice deer, she told me once. Some people chase luck for years, you married it, and I pretended the words were harmless, because it was easier than admitting they hurt. 5 months pregnant, moving slower, feeling everything sharper. I tried to keep my head down, but the invitation arrived like a test wrapped in silk. The sterling foundation, gala black tie cameras, the kind of night where the wrong dress is a crime and the right smile is a shield. "You'll attend," Evelyn said, tone sweet and final. "Try not to embarrass the family." I wanted to skip it, the doctor said. "Avoid stress, but appearances matter," she added. And somehow that felt like a command in this house. The morning started too quiet, the way air feels before a storm. Nathan kissed my forehead, meetings first. "I'll meet you there. I want them to see the woman who owns my heart." And I held on to that like a life raft while a stylist. I didn't ask for, mumbled about a dress that wasn't right, and vanished to check with Clara, who breezed in later, sniffing the air like a critic. "You look different," she said. Then the line that lands like a pin in your spine, "Guests can smell fear." By evening, the chandeliers were performing for the photographers, the ballroom gleamed, violins did their little spell, and I told myself, water first, deep breaths, shoulders down. You belong, because your love is real, because your baby is real, because your heart is real. That's when I met them, the trio people whisper about Veronica, with the glassy smile Lara, with laughter like a knife. Nana, with eyes that take inventory. "Oh, she actually came," one of them breathed. And the way they looked at my dress made me feel like I'd shown up wearing sincerity to a costume party. "It's brave to wear something so honest to black tie," Veronica said. "Comfort over class, how very humble of you." Then a trip, a splash of champagne down the front of my dress, pink and cold. Oh my goodness, I'm so clumsy. And the chuckles nearby telling me no one believed a word of it. I dabbed at the stain, hands shaking. "Accidents happen," I said, trying to keep the peace, trying to balance on that thin line women know too well. But then my purse was kicked, sliding across the marble like a puck. Oops. Guess it didn't belong either. And when I bent carefully, one hand guarding my stomach, there was the nudge small enough to deny, strong enough to send me down a jolt of pain, blooming bright. The ceiling spinning, my voice coming out thin, "Please don't kick me. I'm pregnant." The laughter stalled, then died. Glass shattered somewhere, and I heard footsteps that didn't hurry because they didn't have to. The circle peeled back, and there was Nathan, calm face, eyes like a storm line. "Who just touched my wife?" he asked. Not loud, but you could feel the music choke on the question. Veronica tried a laugh. "She slipped, darling, this floor." But he was on his knees beside me, "Ellie. Are you with me?" And I nodded, breath catching, and then he stood, jaw set. "I'll ask again, who laid a hand on her?" No one answered. Of course, cowards love a crowd. And he turned toward the trio, toward the men behind them, whose money always thinks it's the smartest person in the room. Security, he said. Remove them. Then he changed his mind, mid-motion. Actually, wait to Veronica, he said. You've just lost every contract your husband ever signed with my company. Effective now, send your final invoices by noon or they're void. And I watched arrogance drain into panic like champagne down a sink, the room learning the shape of silence when truth gets a microphone. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and second chances. I woke under a white ceiling. Hand to my belly, a faint kick relief, so bright it hurt Nathan's breaths, coming out shaky. You scared me, he said. You and the baby are okay. Just rest, and I tried to tell him about the shove. The laughter, but the door opened and Evelyn slipped in, lilies in hand. How are you feeling, dear? Pearls repeating the word like a spell. You shouldn't be here, Nathan snapped. But she set the flowers down anyway, so glad it wasn't serious. Maybe next time wear shoes with traction. We wouldn't want another accident. And I stared at the blanket, because soft cruelty bruises in a place you can't show a nurse. The door didn't close all the way, and through that inch of air I heard her voice drop its pearls. Good. Maybe now he'll see what a mistake she was. Maybe he'll divorce her before she ruins his name. And when I looked up, Nathan was standing in the doorway, like a man frozen between two versions of himself. He stepped through slowly. You didn't just try to hurt Ellie, he said. The gentleness gone. You tried to destroy my family, and for the first time I saw the queen of the house with no crown, speechless, small. That was the twist in our story, not the fall, not the contracts, but the line he drew, in a place sons rarely draw them, no more, pretending, he said. When the door closed, action from now on, and the days that followed were quiet. The way a city is, at dawn, broken branches, puddles reflecting a sky that looks cleaned. He barely left my side. We walked the hospital garden. He held my hand like a vow. And when he made a call that evening, I didn't know what it was. I just felt the ground shift a little under us. A week later, the invitations went out, reconciliation dinner. Evelyn beamed and welcomed everyone like nothing had happened. She kissed my cheek with those careful lips and told me I looked better. Halfway through dessert, Nathan stood, didn't tap a glass, didn't need to. Tonight isn't celebration, he said. It's accountability. The room stilled, the screen behind him lit up photos, video security angles, and glossy press shots, Veronica tripping, champagne catching the light, Lara laughing, Nana's hand, my fall, the crowd watching itself watch me. And if you've ever seen truth projected 10 feet tall, you know how small excuses sound after that. Beatrice tried to cut in. Wathan raised a hand. I'm not done, Mother. And the word mother hit the floor like its own broken glass. Contracts were canceled in real time. Texts buzzing like insects. No one dared swat. And then he turned to me. Starting today, Ellie will lead the Sterling Foundation's Women's Welfare Initiative First Project. A campaign for mothers facing abuse and discrimination, legal support, training for venues where power hides its meanness behind etiquette. The applause felt like air moving after a window opens, not polite, not forced, just a room deciding to breathe. After that, life didn't flip into perfect. It settled into honest. Which is better. Evelyn disappeared for a while, and when she came back, she came without pearls, Ellie, she said in our doorway one afternoon. I was wrong. I saw you as a threat to our name when you were the one acting like it meant something. I didn't hug her. I didn't slam the door. I told her you can't undo the past, but you can choose who you are with what's left, and we're still navigating what forgiveness looks like. Some days it's full, some days it's a payment plan, yeah. That happened. Veronica and her friends found out that when the music stops, the bill comes due, The initiative grew faster than we expected. Women wrote to say they had sat in rooms just like mine, had listened to laughter, just like that had carried babies while strangers graded their right to breathe. Nathan learned that love isn't a shield unless you lift it. I learned that silence can be a weapon when it holds the truth and waits for the right lights. Months later, our daughter arrived at sunrise, small and fierce, and as I held her, I whispered the promise that had carried me from that floor to this moment. You will never have to beg to be seen. You will never have to whisper, please don't kick me, to be safe. Your mother stood up once, and that changed everything. Not the wealth, not the gossip, not the rooms. It changed me. If you stayed with me to the end, tell me this in the comments. Where is the line between keeping the peace and feeding cruelty? Is silence ever strength? Or is it just a fuse waiting for a spark? If you were in that ballroom, would you have laughed? Stayed quiet, stepped in? I want to hear you. I want to hear the stories you've carried like this. If you believe truth outlasts revenge, share it with someone who needs a hand on their back tonight. Subscribe for more stories where love wins, justice speaks, and kindness refuses to bow, because sometimes the room that throws you out is the room you end up owning.